Welcome to the All Need Music Podcast. I'm Matt,
I'm Jesse.
and we're back for another episode. This week is an artist spotlight. We're not going to do the new artist spotlight because he's not really that new, but we're just going to call it an artist spotlight. And
It's somebody that what was it, like beginning of last year or something? I think I asked you about him and told you to listen. He was on the highway.
Yep,
and I was like, check this dude out. And
as soon when you said his name, it didn't click at first, and then as soon as I heard him, I'm like, oh, absolutely. And I started working on a bio sheet that was done by the time we went to Faster Horses, but then like things kind of went a little sideways with the podcast, and
Right.
he jumped on a rocket ship and
Right.
was no longer like this new artist.
Right. We should have. He was supposed to be a new artist spotlight last year. We apologize that season one ended and we didn't get to do it. So, like Matt said, not a new artist spotlight. This is an artist spotlight, and I'm sure there's some people out there that might not have, heard of him yet.
Right.
They might be living under a rock or something, as you like to say. But
absolutely.
But yeah,
people artist
like spotlight.
Right. So this guy. Well, before we jump into it, let's just kind of tease who this guy is. So, anybody who likes country music obviously knows who Luke Bryan is.
Oh,
right? Yeah. No secret to country music. And Luke Bryan introduced us, right? Introduced us to Georgia Southern University, right?
Yep.
For those of us that aren't in the Southeast, like he kind of put it on the map. Then comes along Cole Swindell, and Cole Swindell's like, here, hold my beer. Let me show you how we like to party at Georgia Southern. This dude grabs the beer from Cole Swindell, jumps on the roof of a bus, surfs it out, and chugs a beer. So this week's artist spotlight is none other than Georgia Southern's party animal, Gavin Adcock.
Gavin Adcock, baby. Woo!
So for those of you that aren't aware of that, we're going to try a little something new with the podcast here, and hopefully this works out. And as long as it does, everything is good. And we'll take it from there and see if we can make this play out. So let me try this real quick, and hopefully it's what we're hoping that it is for you guys. So let's see this here. All right, this is actual video. And nice. They have a habit of rolling around in a school bus around campus before the games on their way over to the game. And that was Gavin Adcock bus surfing, and someone in the crowd chucked him a beer, and he didn't miss a beat, catches the beer, chugs it, and continues on to the stadium where he plays a football game.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing is I thought when they did that, it was like after a win, then they drove down Frat Alley and stuff like that, and he was doing that for that. No, that was on the way to the game.
Right.
The dude, first game back after busting his knee up, his senior year, right into the game, chugs a beer on his way to the game, and then goes and plays a football game.
Yeah, and to hear him tell it, so he caught a suspension for it. Obviously, the video went viral. Barstool picked it up, and it went nuts. He catches initially a 1-week suspension that turned into an indefinite suspension, and so he says
was it indefinite suspension, or they gave him like an ultimatum or something, and choose one or the other.
So it kind of. It depends on what side you listen to, right? So
right.
There's articles out there that say that the school suspended him indefinitely, and then they basically told him we're parting ways. His story is the coaching staff was under a ton of scrutiny because the team had been underperforming substantially, and they brought him in and basically said, hey, this stuff's got to stop. The music's got to get put on hold till the end of the season. You can't be doing all
your
this
YouTube
wilding
videos
out.
And all that.
Yeah, you can't be doing all this wilding out shit on the team. So that's got to stop till the end of the season, or we got to part ways. And he was basically like, peace out.
Deuces.
I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna make this shit blow up. And I have a hard time arguing that he didn't make the right decision in that instance.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, because that was 2021 when that
Yep.
happened. His senior year, he had played for Georgia Southern for what 3 years prior to that. Blew his knee out, or messed his knee up, and he was out.
Spring football. He messed his knee up and missed the first 3 games of the season.
Yep, and then comes back, and that was his first game back, which it was like, dude's just crazy. Like, it's your senior year, you're playing college football.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he was on scholarship or not, but to be just on top of a bus. For one,
right.
if you're super healthy on top of a bus. 2, before a football game. 3, you got a busted, your knees freshly healed, and then on top of it to chug a beer, and I'm sure that, obviously you saw the fans were just loving it. I mean, that's like epic.
Right.
That's epic. Like, that's like a Jesse Carlson move, but yet not as popular.
Yeah, I was to say, I don't know that I've known you for a few years and you've not done anything that cool yet.
No. Back in the day, I did a lot of crazy, wild stuff, but I mean, I guess if there was video back then, I might have been viral. But yeah, that's pretty epic. But yeah, for anybody that doesn't know about this guy who's been living under a rock, he's just absolutely blowing up right now. But he is, just go on and watch any of his videos. It's like an absolute party. Like, every time this guy hits the stage, like,
Yeah.
just insane. Like, I loved him because of the voice and because of that. And then once I started watching those videos, I mean, the dude's chugging beers on stage, spiking them on stage, throwing them out into the crowd. Always has a bottle of Jack Daniels. He's barefoot half the time. Once he gets going, shirt comes off half the time. Like, the dude just likes to party.
Yeah. He kind of has similar vibes to yeah, I got like a frog in my throat today.
The whiskey helps.
Right. Co Wetzel kind of has a similar style in that way of like partying.
Yep.
But I think that I don't know the two of them should party together, but Gavin Adcock might do it a little bit harder. I don't know. That'd be a good one to find out. Like, maybe we put a poll on the socials.
Yeah.
Who parties harder, Co Wetzel or Gavin Adcock?
Or maybe they need to go on tour together and see how much shenanigans they can get into.
Right.
Because that would be pretty wild. I think Co Wetzel, and we've talked about this before, like, he drinks a fifth of Jack Daniels like every time he does a show or whatever. But I think a lot of times it's like, maybe it's during the show, but a lot of times it's after the show, while whoever else is performing, whoever he's opening for, or, this guy, I think it's from pre-show to during show to after show. It's like nonstop. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it would definitely be a sweet tour to see right there.
If you made it through.
If either of them made it through. That might be one of those, if you guys caught season 1 where we talked about that, it was Tim McGraw and was it Kenny Chesney?
Kenny Chesney, yeah.
Yeah, and the ruckus that they got into and the partying that they were doing after the shows.
Stealing horses
from the cops and stuff. I mean, that might be Co Wetzel and Gavin Adcock right up their alley.
Yeah. So, I obviously, doing the digging in like we do on artists. He grew up, parents had cattle, and grew up going to the stockyards and everything. And his plan was actually to ride in the PBR. That's what he wanted to do when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
High school rolls around. He starts writing songs. And it was actually that knee injury that really kicked off more of his writing. It was like, man, I'm going to sit around for like 6 weeks doing nothing.
Right. Can't do anything.
And wrote some music and released his first song, Ain't No Cure, which is, kind of very, very much like what he's putting out now.
Mm-hmm.
if you've not heard him, the dude's style kind of ranges. It's very kind of southern rock and country.
Mm-hmm.
So you might get those bangers, but you also get more of like that ballad type too, almost from
Right.
him,
Right.
that are just like kind of soothing songs to listen to, even
Yeah.
though he's partying it up while he's doing them.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a change from, uh, him. It's almost like a twangy southern, like, just a real original, like different voice. And then all of a sudden, yeah, it kind of goes more into, I wouldn't really call them like love songs or anything, but it's just like you said, like a ballad, like very different sounding. And that's, as an artist, to be able to do those different types of stuff. uh you know we've kind of talked about it before, with old Morgan Wallen
Yep.
and his new song, and how he's trying to hit those high notes and everything. And it's a good song, and he does well with it, but it's just like not him. Like, it's just really weird. But like this dude, like he fits both of them. So yeah, it's definitely a tribute to him as an artist to be able to do the crazy party, the wild, awesome, like badass songs, and then do some more kind of like laid back, like chill songs. So
Yeah. And obviously, like, you know, coming on the scene in 2021 with his first single released, and kind of slow rolled that, and then ends up getting a record deal, and puts out music that just absolutely blows up. And the amount of streams the guy's had, the amount of views that he's had, the monthly listeners that he has is off the charts.
mm-hmm.
No matter what platform you go to, he's seeing huge, huge, huge numbers everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So that's where we kind of like pump the brakes on doing this new artist spotlight of him, because it was like, well, hell, he just took off to the moon overnight almost. Like, he was kind of on the come up, and then it was just boom,
Right.
and all it takes is going to his website and looking at his tour dates to know, like, the dude's on fire. Pretty much every show between now and May is sold
Sold
out,
out.
other than
Yeah.
festivals. That's
Right.
the only thing that's not sold out. Any of his private shows that he's doing at venues are all sold out.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, he's not playing stadiums or anything to that level yet. Most of the places he's playing are like 2,000, 4,000 capacity kind
Right.
of
Like
venues.
amphitheaters and stuff like that.
But he could certainly start doing arenas and selling those out, no problem. A 9, 10,000 seat arena with, I think he would still sell everything out, right?
Oh
Because
yeah. Yeah.
like we're on a wait list for his Detroit show,
Mm-hmm.
that probably we won't get the opportunity to see him, and fingers crossed we'll see him at CMA Fest, in some capacity there,
Yep.
uh, because there's nothing else on his tour for the remainder of the year, anywhere near us,
Right.
unless we want to load up and do like a 6-hour road trip.
Right. He's signed on for Rock the Country, which is put on by Kid Rock and everything, and he's on quite a few of those tour dates. I didn't see if he was in Hastings or not. I can't remember if he
He
was.
is.
Yep,
He is.
I thought so, because I was like, okay, like I'd go down there just to see him, because I'm like super excited, the energy and the craziness that he brings to his show. I'm like, I bet you that would be an absolute riot, like
Yeah.
just to watch him party on stage, and the energy he brings, kind of reminds me of not the partying aspect of it, but the energy that Bailey Zimmerman brings, to his shows, and how crazy he's running around left and right. This guy's
Right.
kind of different energy, same energy, but more of the party, and get the crowd just going like crazy. So yeah,
Absolutely.
hopefully he is down. We get to catch him in Nashville at CMA, because yeah, we're not sure if we're going to be able to make the Rock the Country this year down in Hastings, and especially now that Faster Horses is canceled, and that Rock the Country in Hastings is like blowing up and getting huge.
Yep.
Because there's no other country music festivals in Michigan going on. So
Yeah, I mean that was kind of a huge windfall for Rock the Country to not have tailgates and tall boys and faster
Yeah.
horses to compete with this summer. It kind of puts everyone on your doorstep. But you know, with Gavin Adcock, some of the articles that I read and videos that I've seen, that area where Georgia Southern is Statesboro, Georgia, and it's a pretty popular music scene.
Mm-hmm.
But from everything that I can tell, I wouldn't mind going to that area because it sounds like they know how to freaking party.
Right.
In an interview that Gavin Adcock did, he said that he played venues with like 300 people in that area, and they'd sell more beers there than a venue with 800 people. Like they just go
Yeah.
hard
Oh yeah.
all the time, and it's like I don't know that I could do it for a long time, but I could do it for a night or two. I feel like.
Right. Right. I can go to a concert. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody that is listening to this, and make sure you're going on and checking out this dude's socials. Um, his YouTube. He's got like 72,000 YouTube subscribers, which is just
Yeah,
unheard of for somebody that just kind of burst onto the scene.
yeah,
Um, like 3.8 million Spotify subscribers or monthly listeners. But
yeah,
where I watch him quite a bit at, besides his YouTube, is I was watching his TikTok. And
yes,
so anybody, go on to his TikTok and check out some of them, because it's a lot of times it's a smaller clip of his video, but you get a lot of different, especially like his live shows, because he does a lot of TikToks from his live shows, and you can just see the energy in the crowd and just the energy from his band and him on stage, and it's pretty
make sure you
amusing to watch.
Yeah, make sure you follow him too, because he's just pushing right to that 1 million mark on TikTok right now. So it's not going to take much, and he's going to break that million
Yeah,
follower threshold on TikTok. The dude is just an absolute riot. It seems like with everywhere he goes,
yeah,
everything he does. It doesn't matter where he's at. He's just like one of those dudes that's just true to himself, whether he's barefoot and shirtless on a stage in a small venue or whether he's barefoot on an airplane flying to his next show.
right,
Right?
right,
Like he just doesn't care.
yeah, yeah. It just like you said, just doesn't care. It seems like that he just is having a good time, living in the moment. And just seeing where this is going to take them. Run Your Mouth, that song is the song that really hooked me, and I heard it on the highway last year, and it was just such a weird, different sound that if you guys haven't heard of him, check that song out. That's not his most streamed song. Cigarettes his most streamed song, which that's kind of more of a like laid back, like just a good song. But that Run Your Mouth is, I mean, every time I hear it, I just get jacked and like you just can't help but just sit there and just rock
Yeah.
and roll, baby.
Yep. Well, and that his major album debut, Acting Up, in 2024, ended up having over 600 million streams collectively, and was literally the most streamed debut album in 2024 by
Wow.
everyone else out there. So,
Wow.
um, you know,
Yeah.
uh, that you just can't argue that, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
who's the hottest new artist out there?
Yeah.
Clearly, the guy that has the most
The most
streams
streams on his
of
debut.
anybody.
Right.
So,
Right,
and
yeah.
that's
Just looking right here. Cigarette, Run Your Mouth, and Four Leaf Clover. Cigarette, 93 million streams. Run Your Mouth, 37, almost 38 million. Four Leaf Clover, 41 million streams. Like, and it just, it came out not too long ago. Let me actually look. Does it say when it came out?
well, you got some music going there. I can hear
Yeah, I was playing them a little bit. So
it.
it doesn't give the month. Hold on. hold on. Nope, it just says 2024 that it came out. So he did just release a new single in 2025 on February 7th, just the other day. Has a couple songs on it, Need To and Lose Your Strings. So, and I've listened to both of them, and they're pretty dang good too. So,
And I don't believe he's released it yet, but he's got a song coming out called Unlucky Strikes.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't see
and
it on here. So,
and I think that's about to drop any day now.
okay.
And I actually seen a thing, talking about his songwriting, and he specifically mentioned that song, and they were like, basically, how does your songwriting process go? And he's like, man, we just get in a room and start shooting the shit, like, and then like what comes up is what comes up. And he's like, we got together, we were going to do some writing, and my dog had just died, and then one of the other guys that I was writing with had just had like some fraud on his bank account, and they like wiped his bank account out, and uh, you know then he got it back, but we were like, oh, well, that sounds like a song.
Right. Right.
And so that literally was like how they got into songwriting mode from shooting the shit, and actually created this song Unlucky Strikes. And he's been teasing that on TikTok, and it's going to be another, really good jam. I feel like, based on the teasing that they've done on TikTok already.
Right. I mean, it sounds to me like maybe Gavin Adcock needs to bring him and his band and songwriters up to Studio South, because that's kind of how this podcast started, was us shooting the shit in the man cave and coming up with brilliant ideas. So,
Right.
I mean, I got plenty of Jack Daniels and other whiskey and Miller Lights that he likes to drink in the man cave at all times. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think that maybe he needs to make a trip up here and record a podcast while we're at it. So,
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. I feel like we certainly couldn't do a TikTok live, because we'd probably catch another violation if we were drinking with them guys, and
yeah, yeah,
just seeing whatever naturally free flows.
right, yeah, for sure. Back to I know we talked about his major his debut album. That was when he signed,
Yep.
but he actually released an album, Bonfire Blackout, in
Yes.
2023. Uh,
Yep.
so if our trusty friend and partner, Damn It Dan, is listening to this podcast at all, for a lot of times when we try to tell Dan about new artists, his first reaction on most new artists is like, I don't like them. If it's not
Yeah.
Tom Petty and
Frank Foster.
Frank Foster, it's instant. But then once he listens to them, but Bonfire Blackout, I mean, that if that doesn't describe Dan on every weekend, I don't know what does, because Dan's been trying to get us to come up for a bonfire for this entire winter, and we're like, how about we wait till the snow melts before we do a nice bonfire outside. So
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked out his music and you want to kind of get a little sample of, who he is as an artist, like, I would certainly encourage you to go and listen to Rowdy Southern Saturday.
mm-hmm.
And that's more of one of his rock kind of
Right.
a little bit heavier, faster songs. And then, you just kind of cover the gamut from there. I personally really like a song that he did that's called Whistling Wind.
Yeah.
And that's kind of more of like
Excuse me.
a deeper cut, if you will. It's not one that you see a ton of on social media, but really, really, really good song. But like I said, he covers such a wide range of styles almost, even though they're all like super fitting to him, if that makes sense, that you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of go from one place to another like that, and
Right.
and sell it really well on either style that it happens to be.
Right. Well, and that's too. I mean, it's true with any artist that whether we highlight them on here or any country artist in general, you always have, you got to make a song for radio or a song for, kind of like your highlight piece. And a lot of times, especially with social media and TikTok and everything like now, if you got that song or those couple songs, that's what you're doing all your videos on. That's what you're doing
Yeah.
because that's what people know. And so that's what they're looking for. But many of these artists that we cover and that we listen to, definitely encourage you, don't just hit the top, obviously listen to their top 5 most streamed songs because that's what everybody listens to, but there's so many more songs that these artists have that, like you were saying, that's one of them that you don't see much on, but just a great song. There's, I can't even name it. There's probably 7 or 8 of them that I've listened to because I listened to all the discography of these artists, and you're just like, man, how does this one not have as many streams as this other one? Like, this thing is just a banger. But
Yeah.
that's how music touches people in different ways. That's why music is great, is because I might listen to a song and it like touches me somewhere different, to where I'm like, wow, that really hits close to home, or that's, I live that, or whatever. And so that song's always going to be closer to somebody that didn't go through that, or they're like, oh yeah, it's a good song, but it's not like my favorite.
Well, and I think a lot of times when a song catches on and starts taking off, like people jump to throwing them on, playlists, right?
Yep.
And so then because it's on a playlist and you see a couple other songs you like, you might check that playlist out without even knowing who the guy is. And, it's racking up streams that way. And you're like, oh yeah, I can get down with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've got friends that, will hear like one song from somebody and they're fine with that. And,
Yep.
I know, right. I'm old enough to realize that I'm a weirdo. I'm the anomaly that,
You
wants
said
to
it.
go and no, like I want to go and dig in and see more. And like, I love the idea that these guys are shooting the shit about like the bad crap that's been going on in their life. Right. And it's like, oh, there's our song. And like, just, a couple of shitty instances that happen to be going on for them is what triggers a song. And like I said, I've not heard the whole thing because I've just heard the TikTok snippets of it, but I'm like, this shit needs to drop already. I want to hear the rest of the song. Like,
Right.
I just
Right.
know it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
But I love that stuff, and I love digging in deeper. If I hear one song of yours that I like, I'm not just calling it good there and then listening to somebody else. I'm like, wait a minute, if I like this one, what else is there, right? Because
Right.
a lot of times, to me, the commercial stuff that's really like getting all the attention isn't the best stuff. A lot of
No.
times, the best stuff is hiding under the surface. And if you just listen to the commercial stuff that's put in front of you, you're missing out on a whole other world of just incredible music.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The deeper you dig into some of these, but sometimes it has the reverse effect too, is that there's sometimes like somebody has like a clutch song that's like, hey, I really dig that song, and then like the more you listen to them and their other stuff, and then you're like, I don't know about this. I mean,
Even when that
you got that,
happens,
you got that Shabuzi guy, so he had that one banger, so
and actually he's got some other stuff out that I would
I
argue
know.
is 10 times better than that.
It is.
But like for me, even if I listen to, other stuff that someone puts out and I'm like, I mean, if I like the first one, I'm still going to listen to that. I'm not going to like not listen to it now because the rest isn't there.
Right.
But I think back, and this will obviously date myself, which is going to probably make Jesse's night because he loves to point out that I'm old, even though I'm only like a year and a half older than him.
You can talk when you saw Willie Nelson debut?
Right. No, like I can't imagine like people nowadays that just stream everything. Like, go back in the day when you had to flip the cassette over to listen to the other side. You know what I mean? To listen to side B to hear those songs. And like people don't put the effort in now when all you got to do is like click on a song they would have been hating life in the cassette days of having to like take it out, flip it over, and start playing the other side.
I think you're getting cassettes and 8-tracks like mixed up here. I mean, I'm sure you lived in the cassette era, but I think the 8-tracks were what you're really talking about.
I don't. I could be wrong, and I might. You guys go ahead and correct me in the comments somewhere on this if I'm wrong, but I don't think 8-tracks flipped over, did they? I thought they just went in like, and that was it.
I've never even seen one, my man, besides on like.
You liar.
I've never held an 8-track or seen anybody with a player besides like in movies or.
So
on
my
TV.
uncle Richie used to have a Ford Grand Torino, and he had an 8-track player mounted on the bottom of the dash with like some L brackets like screwed in.
Nice.
And I remember him having like 8-tracks like on the center floor area that like he'd take turns and they would like fall over onto your feet, and he would always want you to like stack them back up. And they were odd shape, but I don't remember him ever flipping them over. I thought that they just went in and they were like one and done, whatever was on.
They could be.
Rewound it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, they could be. I'm not really sure. Not 100% on that.
I know we've got some older people that check us out. So somebody hit us up in the comments on the socials and give us the 411 on the on whether they could be flipped over or not, the 8-tracks. Maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. I knew all the tricks with the cassette tapes, like back in the day, like taping over the top of them so you could record over a cassette. Like if you bought a cassette that was like somebody you didn't like, you could actually either plug the top with like paper in these little squares, or you could put like Scotch tape over it and then like record over it and have it be the song you wanted.
Really?
Yeah, we used to do our own mixtapes off the radio. I was super ghetto like that.
I mean, I've seen, my older brother, I remember finding some of his mixtapes, but they were always like blank mixtapes. And then, you recorded it off the radio or whatever. But I didn't know you could like record over somebody else's.
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to go to the flea market out in California, and you could get bootleg cassettes of anybody. So instead of like going to like the old hometown record store was Rock Bottom Records. And instead of going in there and paying like, I don't even remember what they were, like $5 or $8, like you go to the flea market on Saturday and get them for $1. And you could get whoever you wanted, from these bootleg cassette vendors back in the day.
Nice. Were they recorded off the radio, and that's how you got the cassette?
No, it was, those ones would be like the full one. Like I remember
like
my
legit?
parents. Yeah, my parents were pissed one Saturday because I came home with NWA on cassette, and they were like, "You're not listening to that shit."
That's funny. That's really funny.
The good old days.
The good old days.
Watch Gavin Adcock hear this and be like, "What's a fucking cassette?"
Right. Yeah, you ain't gonna hear Gavin Adcock on a cassette or an 8-track.
What's an 8-track? I ain't never even heard of an 8-track.
They put them in the school buses that I ride on top of.
Yeah, because that's the one thing we didn't cover. I think is he 24? I want to say something like that. Like he.
I'm guessing in 2021 he was a senior in college. So you join college usually around the age of 18. 4 years later, so he was probably 22.
I'm pulling it up. He's 25.
25? Okay.
Yep, 25 years old. So pretty close. I thought he was 24, but 25. So
yeah. So just young in the game. Yeah, young in the game.
Yeah, you're old enough to be his dad.
You're old enough to be his great grandpa. You got the beard for it, like Santa Claus.
Right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered like all the bases for, if you don't have a reason by now to go check him out, I don't have any hope for you.
Yeah. You shouldn't be watching this podcast if you don't want to go and check him out right now.
Yeah. You should, by this point in the podcast, you should actually probably have turned the podcast off and be listening to him.
You should turn your podcast off and put your 8-tracks back in and listen to whoever you got on them.
Right.
So, yep, we kind of got off topic as we always do on this podcast because we just go down the rabbit hole and talk shit to each other. That's why Gavin Adcock would fit perfect with us, hanging in Studio South Man Cave. Shoot, we can help you write some songs. Just don't ask us to sing them because that's not going to happen.
We
But
don't do
yeah,
so hot.
no, we don't do so hot. But yeah, definitely check this guy out. He's on all platforms. You know, he's TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. He's streaming on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, everything like that. He is definitely worth a listen to, and I guarantee if you listen to him, you're going to be joining the wait list if you guys are in Michigan to try to go and see him. Because
It ain't just Michigan. I mean, he's sold out everywhere.
Yeah, he's sold out everywhere. But big things. I mean, he's already blowing up right now. He's got the most streams in a debut album in the 2024 out of anybody. But he's on tour, playing a lot of festivals this summer. I guarantee by next summer he's going to be headlining his own tour. If he keeps this momentum going and doesn't fall off a school bus and do
tour bus now,
yeah. So
right.
But yeah, he's definitely somebody you guys want to check out if you haven't checked him out already, or if you've only listened to one or two of his main songs. Dive deeper with this guy. Check him out, and you will not regret it. He's one of ours that we've been wanting to do for a while on here, and so glad that we finally get to do it and showcase him. And yeah, big things coming.
Yeah, and if you guys are, if any of you out there are like our good buddy damn it Dan and struggle with reading and writing, when we post this, we'll share it on the socials and we'll tag him. So to make it easy for you to find his socials, if you can't search him out on your own, and you follow us anywhere, we'll tag his Facebook, his Instagram, his TikTok on all of these videos when we put out teasers or whatever on it, and you can find him that way if you're not able to read or write on your own or too lazy to look him up.
Or you've drank too much Jack Daniels and you need to just click on a button instead of type.
Right.
Yep.
I don't even know with us sometimes. I think this is why our wives are just like, that's the most common response that we get from the girls.
Yeah.
It's just
just go do your thing.
A sigh, head down, shaking the head, like. Any rate, you guys, thank you for checking in on another episode of the Y'all Need Music podcast. We will catch you again next week. As always, new episodes on Tuesdays. Y'all Need Music podcast.
Out.